Welcome to the Instagram Stories for Monday, September 29th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Today on the show, we're going to get into what the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, answered on his recent Ask Me Anything. And there's some good questions in here about how the Instagram algorithm works and how to impact your reach on the platform. For instance, someone asked him to explain the algorithm in under a minute. Someone asked, are sends or saves more important for reach? Someone else asked, if my trial reel flops, does that affect my reach? Additionally, the head of Instagram also explains about how the new iPad app opening directly to the Reels tab is different and what the thought process behind that was. All of that and more on today's episode, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's dive into the questions and answers from the head of Instagram. And the first one is a request to explain how the Instagram algorithm works in under 1 minute. I love this as a goal. Here's Adam's answer, explaining how the algorithm works.
All right, there are lots of algorithms, but I think you're asking about the main one for the main experience on Instagram. I want to stress, I know this is contentious, but we're trying to make the most of your time, show people things that they're interested in, which grows the overall pie, grows reach for the average creator, also grows our business and makes people happy. What we do is we look at two different types of content, everything that was posted from the accounts that you follow, and then also posts from accounts that you have not followed. For each of those posts, we try and predict how likely you are to like, comment, share, save, send, each of those things, and we use those predictions to create a relevancy score, an educated guess for how interested we think you are in those posts, and we order by those scores. We don't rank every piece of content that has been posted by a account that you do not follow, but we try to find a subset that we think you might be interested in, do similar predictions, and then we blend those two together. That is my best take at doing an algorithm explanation in less than a minute, but I'll do a longer one, hopefully relatively soon.
Okay, let's go on to the next Instagram algorithm question. Now, last week on the show, I talked about how Instagram was working on the ability for each person to be able to customize their algorithm for topics that they want content on and to be able to remove topics for content that we don't want to see. Here's the answer to the question, is the new algorithm tool coming for everyone?
So if you haven't seen it yet, you can check out my Reels. I posted a sneak preview of a feature that we're working on that allow you to tune your algorithm. It shows you what we think you're interested in, and you can add things, you can remove things. And one of the more important things is if we're wrong about what we think you're interested in, you can correct us. We'd like to bring this to everyone. It's going to take some time, hoping to start testing over the probably next month sometime. But I'll keep you all posted as we keep working on it.
I am very much looking forward to having access to that so I can customize what the Instagram algorithm shows me. Let's move on to the questions about reach. The first one, are sends or saves more important for reach? I will just shortcut and let you know the answer is sends. If people are sending your content to others, that means it is good. Here's Adam's answer.
Both how much people send your reel or photo or carousel and how much they save it matter, but sends matter more. Generally speaking, we're trying to optimize for bringing people together over creativity. And one of the best ways to do that is through DMs. People discover things that they love all the time and they send them to a friend, and that starts a conversation about something that they're both interested in. And that's the kind of thing that we really want to be all about at Instagram.
Okay, so that means when you are creating content, make sure that it is content that people would want to share. What would make someone want to share a particular piece of content that you've created? That's a question that you have to answer individually. But when it comes to experimenting, if you look at your analytics and you see what people have shared in the past that you've made, that will give you a clue. Let's go on to the next question, and it has to do with trial reels. If my trial reel flops, does that affect my reach? The answer to that is no.
No, if a trial reel does not do well, that's not going to affect your reach more broadly. The whole idea of trial reels is to give you a safe place to experiment and then see what works, and then either upgrade it to a full-blown reel on your profile or use that information to inform what you do next.
Okay, since we're on the topic of trial reels, the next question, why don't I have trial reels? Just as a reminder, you need to have more than 1,000 followers to have trial reels. And if you're a private account, you're not going to have them.
To have access to trial reels, you need to have a public account. It doesn't make sense to try to reach accounts that don't follow you if your account is private because they can't see your posts. And you have to have over 1,000 followers. That's trying to make sure that we address issues around spammers who create new accounts to try to hack the system. So those are the two conditions. If you're not seeing trial reels and you have a public account with more than 1,000 followers, let us know and we'll try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, let's do one more about insights. The question, how long should I wait before checking insights on a post? I know it's very tempting to start checking the insights right away after you make a post because you want to see how it's performing in the short term, which will give some kind of indicator potentially of how it will perform in the long term. If a lot of people like it who are in your close friends circle or people who spend a lot of time engaging with your content and they like it, then obviously Instagram is going to show it to more people. So looking at that marker in the first few minutes, half hour, whatever, can be very tempting. However, Adam Mosseri recommends not doing that and waiting a little longer. Here's the clip.
I would say give it a couple hours. I know a lot of you creators out there like to check it right away, and it's true in general that how something does in the beginning is usually correlated with how it's going to do over the long run. You're not going to really know for a day or two, but I would really be careful not to overreact in the first couple minutes, and I would highly recommend give it a couple hours.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Adam's going to explain why the Instagram app for the iPad opens to the Reel screen by default, what the deal is with taking away Instagram guides and if we'll ever get them back, and how music licensing works since you don't have access to every single song that has ever existed within the Instagram app. All of that and more when we come back. Welcome back. Continuing with the questions and answers from the head of Instagram, and the next one has to do with the iPad app. Why is the iPad app home screen defaulting to Reels? Here's Adam's answer.
So this is a question about our new iPad app. And we actually made the default experience stories at the top, and then you scroll into Reels, which by the way can also include photos. And this is because that we've seen a lot of growth on Instagram is driven by DMs and lightweight sharing, as well as Reels and recommendations over the last few years. So we took the iPad app as an opportunity to experiment with reorienting Instagram more around those two products. It's also because people tend to use tablets less times per day, but for longer each time, which lines up more with video consumption more broadly. Now, you still have a dedicated feeds tab where you can get to a chronological list of content from the accounts that you follow, and you're going to get more and more tools there if you really want to make sure that you're not missing anything that you care about. But in a world where most people seem to be more engaged by Reels, we are experimenting with, on the tablet for now, orienting the app more around that experience.
It does fundamentally make sense that people do use tablets completely differently from how they use phones, and they are experiences that are more about viewing and less about creating. So I do understand where Instagram is going with that. Let's talk about a new feature that Instagram rolled out last week, which I did not talk about on the show because there wasn't really much to say. Instagram has rolled out horizontal reels, which are very thin, hard to watch videos. I will let the head of Instagram explain what a horizontal reel is and why they rolled this out.
So we started supporting a wider variety of aspect ratios for videos, and people seem to really have a lot of fun with that very horizontal one, which was kind of surprising and delightful for us. So it's having a little bit of a moment, but the idea was just to support a wider variety of aspect ratios for a wider variety of creativity.
I will just say I do not see the attraction to horizontal reels. I would like to create a reel that takes up as much of the screen as humanly possible so that it takes as much of your attention as possible. I do not see the attraction to making a very tiny, hard to see video. Let's go on to the next question. How can I write subtitles like you on stories? Well, good news. When you make a story, before you post it, you can choose from a variety of different stickers, like the music sticker. And one of those stickers is for captions. Here's Adam explaining more.
So when you record a story like this one and you go in what's called post capture, so after you're done recording it, you can go and add a sticker, and one of the sticker's options is called captions. And what that does is that creates a sticker like this, which automatically captions your video, and you can actually even change the style You can also do the same thing if you're creating a reel, either in the Instagram app or in the Edits app. But for stories, it's a captions sticker that allows you to make these captions.
Okay, since we're talking about stories, let's do another one. Can I block someone from stories but not posts? Yes, you can hide your story from people, but still allow them to see your posts. They could still DM you. There's a lot of different options for blocking and restricting in the Instagram app.
So you actually can do this. It's not really blocking them, but you can actually remove people from being able to see your stories. You can go into stories and there's a little settings icon, and then you can change the audience there, which is different than blocking someone entirely. If you block someone entirely, it'll look like your account doesn't even exist to them on Instagram. So they won't be able to see your stories, your posts, or even your profile.
Okay, let's go on to a question about music licensing rights. Why can't I access all songs in stories and posts? Well, it comes down to agreements and money, just like everything.
So we can't surface songs through the music sticker or through reels that we don't have the rights to. So what we do is we try to get rights to music by working with different labels in different countries. And then all of the songs within those deals are available. Unfortunately, sometimes those change, right? We have different issues with different labels in different countries sometimes, and we end up losing a catalog, which is really frustrating. So I want to acknowledge that up front. What we're trying to do is provide as many options to as many creators as possible, but we can't always, unfortunately, get all the songs.
Okay, I have so many feelings about this topic, but mostly they center around how a company as large as Meta, who makes record profits quarter after quarter, cannot make all the necessary deals to have whatever music you need to add to your stories to be more creative on their own platforms. I'll just save that topic and move on. The last question we're going to talk about today, we need guides back. If you do not remember, guides were a part of Instagram where you could bring together content from a variety of different posts. You could make those posts and bring them together into a guide, or you could use other people's posts and bring them together into a guide. The person is asking, when will guides be back, essentially, but Adam says that's not in the cards.
No plans to bring guides back. I actually did like guides myself, but they were used relatively little, and I worry that Instagram is too complicated and we're going to need to find ways of simplifying the experience, and one way to do that is to remove things that are very rarely used. So I feel you. I'm sorry. I know it's tough sometimes to lose things that you love, but that was one that really just made sense to actually cut from the experience. We're going to do more of that in the future. We're also going to look for more opportunities to consolidate patterns, to take two things that are very similar and just make it one thing that's easier to understand. So hopefully we can simplify the experience as we move into next year, which is coming up.
Okay, that is going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening. And if you have not had an opportunity to leave a review of the show, I would really appreciate it. The best place to do that is on Apple Podcasts. I will link to how to get there in the show notes, or you can just go on Apple Podcasts and search for the Instagram Stories Social Media News. You'll probably see my other podcast there called the Instagram Stories Podcast, but that's just the podcast where I have all the interviews that I've done. I try to keep those interviews in one collection, but this show, which is the shorter news show that I do 3 times a week, that's called the Instagram Stories Social Media News. You can get there directly by using the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things you should know.
Let's get it. The year was 2013. You posted your first pic and you're glad you posted scene. Your friends liked it too, but what you didn't know is what posting on that platform would do. Taking all your time and attention, doom scrolling. Also, let me mention, you gotta post on every platform, putting content on every set just to conform. Likes gave you validation and you got hooked. Now engagement is down, you feeling overlooked. Hey, keep coming back for more podcasts. And find me on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. I'm gone.